What's going on, y'all? This is the Battle Blaster coming at you. I didn't get a chance to come to y'all like I usually do. You know how I do. I do it when I got the time. I'm up here at the shop right now, about to get in some work. But I wanted to talk for a few minutes. And I want black people to understand. Because you see it on TV don't mean it ain't gonna happen to you. Because you read it in the paper doesn't mean it's not gonna happen to you. This past week, a lady in Hamilton Township, New Jersey, that's basically Mercer County, that's right next to the capital of New Jersey, which is Trenton. What I mean, right next, Trenton is right next door to Hamilton. It's just the next, little town over. It's a township. So what happened was, this lady and her husband and their child woke up the other morning. This happened about 4 days ago. I wanted to talk about it sooner, but just been entangled with a lot of stuff and a lot of work. The lady woke up, her and her husband woke up to all three of their cars being vandalized with the words, "Fuck you, nigger." Dicks, penises, and balls drawn all over their car with spray paint. And she was telling me the lady who lives next door to her, who has an interracial relationship with a black man, their car was destroyed as well with the same writing on it. And they said across the street there's a Spanish store, and all their stuff said the same thing. And it was written all over the store and all over the window fronts, all over the side of the building. And I try to tell black people, don't think that it can't happen to you. When I spoke to the people when they came into the shop to have their car looked at about getting all the paint removed, all the spray paint removed, the lady said this one thing: I've seen it on television, I've read it in the papers, and I never thought that this could happen to me here. I told her, I said, one thing I've learned is to be a realist, not an optimist. An optimist is a person who can see past certain things, and it's not the fact they can see past it. They choose to try to see past it because they believe that, there's a better or a silver lining somewhere around that can be a little bit better. People. And I know this doesn't matter, but I think they were either like a Haitian, or I doubt they were Caribbeans. They either were Haitian or some African or something. They didn't sound Caribbean, but they was either Haitian or from some country over in Africa or something. And I'm just watching them. They moved to a white neighborhood to give their kid a better education. Okay, that's fine. You can do that. But if black people were to stand together, we wouldn't have to worry about trying to move next to these individuals who hate us. We would learn how to take care of our own schools. We got schools in Trenton that's closed up right now. The capital of New Jersey. And there's like 5 or 6 schools, from elementary all the way up to junior high school, that has been closed. And there's a school, I even spoke about this before, down the street from where I live, the one I grew up going to. That school is in great condition. It's not falling apart. It doesn't have asbestos or anything like that. It's not, it's just rotting because these people shut it down talking about there's not enough taxes in the city to open up another school. No, there's enough taxes because you take a lot of that tax money and you line your pockets with it. You give your cronies that money. Oh, the niggas ain't gonna give a damn. And I hate to use that word, but that's what they say. They don't want to go to school. They don't care about school. These niggas ain't this, that, and the other. Blah, blah, blah. And as black people, we don't necessarily fight the fight. We don't. We don't stand together. We don't say to ourselves, hey, let's stand up together and let's get these schools open. Let's fight for this because this is our children's education. Remember, dirt has been handed down to us. Dirt and ashes has been handed down to our parents. This is something we constantly do. And now the new kids growing up now, they ain't got nothing to give to their kids. I try to show my nieces and nephews, if you want to do something, you want something. You got to work hard to get it. And not just work hard, but think about owning your own property, your own intellectual property, your own businesses. This way you can hire people who look like you. You can open up stores in the neighborhoods and service the people who look like you. Because at one time, that's what we did. We did this during my uncle's time and beyond. Because we couldn't go to their stores. We couldn't go to their restaurants and eat. If we did go to their restaurant and eat, we would have to go to the back and order. And we had to sit out on the curb and eat our sandwiches. And sometimes we even got harassed for sitting out on the curb or going in the park and sitting on a bench and eating a sandwich, If we want to get our lives together, then we must let go of all the stuff that these people have put in our faces and fed us. See, you got to understand. Let me break it down to you. These folks have fed us nonsense and garbage since we've been here. Since they broke us. Since they've been here. And we have just allowed this to keep going. We've let go of our religion, our culture, our God, the way we know how to do things, the way we know how to worship, or the way we ask for certain things, because every individual is different. Our ability to make things happen, our ability to create businesses and to create opportunities for ourselves, or to create a town that thrives around us, hard work. All that stuff went away with my generation. My father's generation was the last generation that was doing for themselves. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them were working. Now, mind you, what I say about my father's generation, my father was born in 23. There were people back in his day that was doing stuff, that was making businesses, that had neighborhoods. Even after the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots and places like that, they still was building little towns and businesses because they had to work for themselves. They had to supply for their own people. In the 1930s, they implemented welfare to farmers and to other white individuals because of the Dust Bowl. The dust, it was like a Dust Bowl they had. They had this, what was it called? It was the time when nothing would grow. It's like a famine. And this went on for a few years, 2 or 3, probably about 3 or 4 years. Anywhere between 2 and 4 years, this went on. And to keep the farmers' land intact, to keep their families together, to make sure they have food and things that they need of any nature, all that nature, the government put up a welfare system. Now, mind you, we were excluded from that welfare system. It wasn't just, remember, there wasn't just white farmers at that time. There were black farmers too that didn't even get nothing. A lot of those black farmers lost their land or got a lot of their land taken from them in that time. But they never got none of the welfare programs that the white farmers was getting. And then later on, because of the Depression, during that time, that's when the Depression hit, like in 1930, what was it, 1929, 1930, when the Depression hit. That's like a couple years later from the Depression, that's when the Dust Bowl hit. It was like God was telling them, listen, I'm giving you a warning. Take care of the people. Take care of everybody here. Take care of my people. Take care of my children, the ones you keep shitting on. Take care of them. Or else I'll crush you. I'm going to come back and I'm going to crush y'all. And they didn't do it. Now, mind you, the welfare system has went on for years and years and years and years. And when the welfare system actually was given to black people was during the 60s. And what I mean about the 60s was they saw that we were a force to be reckoned with during the civil rights movement. Men, women, and children out there marching. We were becoming a nuisance. We were the Hebrew Israelites standing up to Pharaoh saying, hey, let my people go. And they didn't like that. They seen how strong we were together, how we stopped we did the bus boycotts, the bus boycott. And we started doing restaurant boycotts or sit-ins and all that. Which to me, the restaurant thing was a little bit more of it was political, but at the same time, it wasn't even where we was at. We shouldn't even been doing that. But they did it anyway. And these individuals saw that. And they said, oh no, we can't have this. We have to break up their unity. Their unity is too strong. So they got Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem got one of her black little puppets that she promised some little bread to and a little bit of fame. And they went out and they did the women's lib movement all over again, the feminist movement. And that was underneath George Soros back then. And she's an a CIA operative, Gloria Steinem. And she went out and did her little bull crap, trying to talk to all the women. And see, let me tell you something about black people in general. You put a white person up in front of us, and 9 times out of 10, we're going to bend over, we're going to bow down, We're going to say how mighty and how great and how beautiful they are. And we're going to just lap it all up. And they'll be like, oh, wow, and then when they, like with Gloria Steinem's thing is, once they got us in the palm of their hand, they crush us. They shake it up, get all the bad stuff out, and keep all the good stuff in their hand. And that's what they did. They basically picked all of us out of there. And they took all the goods for themselves. They gave the black woman welfare. Told her she can't have a man in the house. Just decimated the black relationship between a man and a woman. Wow. You know what I mean? That's all I really can say is like, wow, really? And we've been dealing with this since the late 60s, early 70s, all the way up over until now. That's almost 50 years of us being apart from each other. Now, mind you, black women always kind of sat to the side, even during the time of slavery. A lot of the black women being raped. And they could not, and I repeat, they could not do anything. We couldn't do anything. Because if we stood up and we did anything, they saw what they did to us. They saw us being, if we stood up to them, we got our balls cut off, our dicks cut off. We got tied to they call them a holding post, where you wrap the horses down. That's a holding post to keep the horse from running off. They will tie black men down to a holding post. They'll beat them to an inch of their life, or they will beat them and then they rape them, or they rape them and then they beat them. You know what I mean? These white people are fucking disgusting. And the male slave master would turn around and do that to his slave, his male black slave, so he can say that he's top dog. See, these people, they look at dogs as this is how you do things. You know what I mean? And then they turn around with horses, and they would tie a black man from one end, his arm, his leg, to another horse, his other arm, and his other leg, to 4 different horses. And they would start him off in the middle, and they would whip the horse to make the horse run real fast and take off, and it would rip the man's arms, legs off, and whatever's left is being dragged by the horse. And they would let him free after they drag him around for a while, and let him bleed out to death, and tell the people not to touch him. So he's bleeding, and he's in pain, he's in agony, he's in torture. Most times they would hang us. You know what I mean? So, beat you and hang you, set your body on fire or put you in or they would put like how they used to do the witches. They would make a bonfire, and they would put a log there, tie you to that log, and set you afire. Because we stood up. And the black woman couldn't see that happen to us no more, so she said, no, you're not going to fight. You're not going to fight. We'll work through this. And over the years later, the black woman found it hard for the black man to take care of her or protect her, because 9 times out of 10, if we did protect her, we end up dead, or we had to flee. And where can we flee to? So that's just me give you a little brief history on that situation, when it comes to that part of the Women's Live movement portion. And that's why the black woman claimed she felt the way she felt. But a lot of black men were standing up for their women. Even during the times of the red hot summers, red hook summers, when a lot of those towns from the 1800s all the way up until the mid, I say not even the mid, up until the 20s, the 1920s, where a lot of those black towns were being destroyed. Black men stood up. Black men fought back. You don't hear the stories about that, trying to keep their family and their women safe, and their children, so their communities, everything. But these women feel like we don't protect them. I spoke about this before. I had some broad I was messing with. We're at the beach. There's an Indian dude. He's getting all this food for him and his family because they had it was about 9 of them, 8 or 9 of them, including him was like 10. And he had this real big order. So the white people, they step up, they make their order, and me and her together, we're talking. It's our turn to move forward now. So we step forward, and while we're waiting to be served, like to be asked what we want, she's running her mouth, talking. The Indian brother steps up to us from the back, says, "Excuse me, could I get a knife?" I said, "Sure, hold on." I said, "Sweetie, move out of the way. My man's trying to get through." I said, he's trying to get through. She goes crying, "Why, you, this, that, the other. You supposed to protect me. You supposed to," she tells a guy like this, "You supposed to say, excuse me, you're in America. This is," I said, "Woman, the man said, excuse me. You didn't hear him." She's talking about, "I don't care. He did it." I said, "Listen, he said, excuse me. You weren't listening because you was running your mouth. That's why I tapped you on the shoulder and pulled you towards me and tell you, let the man get through and get his forks." The man is looking at us like, "Thank you for trying to explain to her." I look over the family looking at me like, "You know what, you should put your foot in her ass." And it was true. But black women, again, don't respect black men. And I'm not saying all of them. That's far from what I'm saying. But that goes back from slavery all the way up until now, because her grandmother taught her to be the way she was. To cheat on her man and take him through the motions so she can find out if he's worthy of her. Bringing people to the man's house or catching her cheating with other men. You know what? I don't have that much of fight in my body no more for that shit. I'm older. I'm more relaxed. Just let it go. But she couldn't let it go. You know what I'm saying? You dig what I'm saying? So she's walking around, she's screaming and hollering. No matter what I did, no matter what I said, she was just running around. And she screamed and talked and all the stuff. I said, and I had to kind of get loud with her for her to shut up. But she walked around and she just kept doing what she was doing. But anyway, let me get off that, because I just kind of lost myself going back and forth in my mind right now. But that's why these women feel the way they feel. And then you growing up, you teach your children, you holding the boys back, but you raising the girls up. The girls to be strong, the boys to be weak. Ladies, as a man, you have babies with these no good dudes, these dudes that you just lay down and have a baby because you look good, because you got good penis. You know what I mean? Because you want to try to change him. You want to keep him for yourself because you think your stuff is so good you can just change him with your stuff. And when I mean your stuff, with your pussy. It doesn't happen that way, baby. A lot of men ain't like that, especially the guys out there who's fucking every day. A lot of them guys who just out there just making babies every day. The guys who get more pussy than the next man every day. That guy got so much training in fucking. He's a master at it. So he knows how to make your body sway to his groove. And you give him babies that he's not even worthy of. I don't get it. But like I said, let me break this down and keep moving forward. We have to get back to each other. Because that man and his wife that had all that white supremacy stuff written on his car, which burnt me up as well, they were so, like, they were upset, but they were nonchalantly upset. Like, I'm not a nigga. I don't understand. Why did they call us this? We're not you Americans. But you got to see, the funny part was, it was like, we're brothers and sisters. We should all stick together. When we should. But don't stick together when bad shit happens. Stick together when even the good goes down. I'm just going to say this real quick. I watched the Spanish population in America. I watched the Spanish population in my community. Now, mind you, the government is giving them money to buy stores and get houses and cars, and he's giving them all this money. Money that rightfully belongs to us. So they can drown us out. I was listening to Professor Black Truth, the Black Authority last night. And I wanted to call in, but my service on my phone said that I don't have the service to call to New York City. It's not to call New York City, it was to call that hotline. I called it before. See, it just shows you how they work against us. But I wanted to tell him some stuff that he was talking about. Yeah, you know, these people, they come over, and I'm not mad at them, because they only doing what the government is allowing them to do, and what we have allowed other cultures to do. Come in, make money from us, and just keep it moving. They come in, they getting all these loans from the government. The government is moving forward with other things, and I was looking at I was listening, matter of fact, I was listening to Lisa Cabrera, and how she was talking about how, when she read the newspaper, how they were getting every Hispanic family in New York City was getting $15,000. The first initial payments, I think she said, went out to the immigrants, and then anybody else. And what I mean by anybody else, any other Hispanic group, like, Puerto Ricans, who are rightfully Americans because their island falls into the United States territories. I watch as no one sits down and screams and talks about how they get money and the government does for them. But when it's us, everybody screams against it. You got the Mexican community who's getting money for being illegals coming over here, who's drowning us the hell out. This is why the census, they don't take the census properly. This is why we need to count ourselves. As a group, we need to count ourselves. We need to do our own head counts in our own cities, our own townships, our own states, and then come together with the data saying how many we actually are. Because if we claim we at 13% and we have never grown, and the white population is diminishing fast, and you pushing up this new race of this new culture of people to be the new white supremacists over us, so y'all can still maintain power. Something's seriously wrong with that. I'm telling you, y'all, it's time for us to wake up. If we don't wake up now, we are done for. You're going to start seeing white supremacist rhetoric in our neighborhoods that we've been living in there for 40, 50 years. Because it's not going to come from the white supremacists. It's going to come from the mindset of the white supremacist Spanish population. Remember, like Professor Black True said, when they mark something on their application or they put on their license, they put down white. They don't put down Hispanic. They don't put down captured people of Puerto Rico. They don't do no. They put down white. Let me say this last piece and then I'm gonna let y'all guys go. If you don't believe what I'm saying, and if a lot of you cats or somebody who lives in a different state and you run across this, I'm going to say this one thing, and I'm going to let it go after this. 2 years ago, I spoke of this before. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever. I think it was like 2019, 2020, something like that. But me and my uncle driving down the street. I had to take him. We just was riding around, and then I had to turn around and take him go get some food and stuff. So we driving his car instead of we driving my car. So as we driving around, and we're coming back into town. When we first left, we saw all this. It's like a big ass truck, one of them big ass old like farm trucks that you just jump everything in the back or whatever. It had a Spanish flag on there. They had draped in Puerto Rican stuff, all these flags and shit, and had written on there, Puerto Rican pride, da-da-da-da. Now, mind you, this is in August. And you see a couple cops out there, nothing, but you see all these people riding up, and they getting up in there and everything. And I told my uncle, I said, this right here is them showing themselves. And he said, what you mean? I said, they letting us know they here and they taking over. And this is their town now. And he looked at me, and he ain't say nothing. He looked at me, he's like, okay. So when we came back from coming back from getting his food and everything, we're driving down one of the main streets in Trenton, and lo and behold, they have like 4 Jeeps, 4 cars. It was like about, and then this big truck, and they be blasting all the Spanish music, right? And they marching down the street and dancing and all that shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? I said, I told you, Uncle Boo, that's them showing themselves, telling them they here and they're taking over. This is their shit now. We gotta go. This is they shit. And if you look at everything I'm saying, this is a true thing. The population of Spanish people has blown up because Trenton is a sanctuary city. Now, don't get me wrong, it's overspilling out here into Hamilton, and they don't like that. It's spilling out into Ewing Township, and they don't like that. They are trying to keep white supremacy alive. And they're going to keep it alive because we ain't fighting. We're not doing what we need to do. One, we need to count ourselves properly because they don't count us in the census. There was also a article written up about how a lady in New York went into the Bronx or Brooklyn, one tell the other, and it was like heavily black and Spanish populated. It was more blacks populated than Spanish, I think. But make a long story short, when she pulled up, she had to log in her computer saying that she was there. As soon as she did that, a couple seconds later, she said she got a call. It was the person who runs the census, in that area. They said, hold on, sit in your car for 10 minutes, and don't move. We'll call you back. She said she sat in there for like 5 or 6 minutes before they called her back. And when they called her back, they told her she could leave. She said, but I didn't do the census. I didn't go. She said, you don't have to. You're good. You can leave. And that's what they did. The lady kind of got upset because she couldn't do her job. And they didn't care about the census when it came down to us. They never do. Oh, yeah, there's only 25 black folks there. They want to keep that 13% at 13% because, like I said, if they found out we're well over 13%, which I think we really are, that scares them. See, this is why, like I said before, they had to get backup back during the 1800s. And again, in the the late 1800s, early 1900s, when they had that big immigrant boom, because they found out that there were more slaves on those plantations, and if we ever got wind of it that we were more than they are, we could have turned this whole place back into a Eden, and they wouldn't have been nothing they could do. But that's all I came on here to talk about. I'm sorry to chew your ears off, but I gotta get to work. I got shit to do. So this is the Battle Blast. Y'all, hope y'all can understand where I'm coming at and where I'm shooting at. And I'm definitely shooting from the hip, freestyle. So take it in, research it. If you think I'm blowing smoke up your ass, research it, and you'll find everything I said is true. It's scary, but it's the truth. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. Black people, get ourselves together, because don't get me wrong, we might have a couple we might have a couple of Spanish brothers and sisters who ride with us, but the majority of them don't. And then you got a small population who's in between, and then you got a small population that runs with us because they know the truth and they don't mind the truth. Remember, everything that we create is hot. I'm listening on the radio how they're trying to push Latin music, but it's not going nowhere because we still have the ear of everything. Even when it comes down to dress, they dress like how we dress. Our hairstyle, when we had boxes, they was getting boxes, braids, they getting braided up. When black people really started hitting the tattoo scenes, they hitting the tattoo scenes. We keep it going. Music, fashion, culture-wise, we keep it going. No one else does. And as black men and black women, if black women, y'all stop choosing these bum brothers and start looking for the brothers and tell these cats you want a guy that can afford this and not afford it, but he dresses good and he has a good job and he's got a business, or he's moving forward into his business. And watch a lot of these cats who on these dirt bikes and selling drugs, how they quickly will get into a business somehow so they can get you. Because I'm gonna tell you something, pussy makes the world goes around, and man has always fought over women. You look at Cleopatra and Mark Antony and Caesar. There you go. And Cleopatra wasn't white, she was a black woman, all right? So this is the Battle Blaster. I'm gonna get up out of here because I'm losing time, and I hope y'all got down with this. Like I said, if you don't believe what I'm saying, you think I'm blowing smoke up your ass, then research it and you'll see what I'm saying is true. All right, this is the Battle Blaster, and I am OUT.